Travis County, we have about 5 to 15% voter turnout.
Idalis, thank you so much for joining Raasin and I on this endeavor that we have with really trying to empower and inform the community to take not only take action but really get involved in the voting and politics system here in Austin. Just to kind of intro a little bit about Idalis, she's a 23-year-old, which is awesome, but so young and ready to activate the community.
It's so inspiring.
Yeah, super. She's a voter registrar. Did I say it right?
Yeah,
Cool.
Travis County voter registrar.
Nice. And her mission is to get members in the Southeast Austin community registered to vote.
I grew up in Dove Springs, born and raised here in Austin, and I saw a lack of outreach when it came to voting in that neighborhood. There's all kinds of voter registration organizations here in Austin. There's League of Women Voters, there's Vote 411, all kinds of stuff. And when I moved back home from going to school in Colorado State, which also shaped what I'm doing now, because I was there during the 2016 elections, and there was a lot of white people, and I was not used to that. Wasn't used to being around a lot of white people, like here in Austin. So many types of people, so many backgrounds. So when I moved back home and I was seeing that there was a lack of outreach, I decided to get involved and become a voter registrar, and to really get young people 18 to 25 registered to vote, and informing them on how government works, local government, and what it really means when they're casting their ballot.
I think that's really powerful, Idalis, because, you know, we just had an episode where we were talking about the importance of getting out there to vote, and just to understand that we have a beautiful young, person out here that's saying, hey, there needs to be people of color that are voting. I think is amazing. It really is. So I just keep doing the work that you're doing. So I wanted to kind of look at the turnout that you, from your perspective, that you see here in Austin. Can you speak to that a little bit, the voter turnout?
Yeah, so Travis County, there's several elections that we have that we take part in. We have general elections that could be for president, and then we have non-presidential general elections, and those can be for different propositions, like we saw in November of 2019. So Travis County, we have about 5 to 15% voter turnout. So, and yeah, that's a very small percentage of people who are taking part in the voting process. And that election, there was a lot of stuff on that. So one of them had to be for the exposition center. They wanted to put the tax revenue from hotels that the city collects, to help expand and renovate the expo center. And they were trying to do the same thing with the convention center here in Travis County. And those were big things on the ballot, even though the money that's used for those renovations don't come out of property taxes. There's still things that, like the city, they want to do. One of the propositions they had was to help preserve culture and tourism stuff, by using the hotel tax revenue. But they say that, and then we don't ever really see the products of that. We don't see money going towards the African American Cultural District. We don't even have a Chicano Cultural District here in Austin, and there's a big population of us. So things like that, we don't have enough people coming out and voting for those things. And I tell people, especially right now, with people saying defund APD, I'm like, you're saying defund APD, but are you voting for your council member? Are you paying attention to what propositions they're proposing, what resolutions they're trying to pass through?
Well, those numbers are pretty staggering for sure. One of the things, so Idalis, one of the things that really prompted this was like that I went to register to vote, did my thing, which that's a whole episode on some mistakes that I made with registering. It was pretty crazy.
At least you registered.
Sam knows about them.
Registering is the first part.
That was complicated. I'm gonna say it was a little complicated. So for people that have no idea what they're gonna do or how this whole thing works, how would you sum up what are those next steps for them?
So once you register, you have to go find out who your representative is. You need to find out what district you're in, who your representatives are. That means your district, your council member. That means who your constable might be. That means who your judges are in your district, because those people are always up for re-election. Their terms are anywhere from 2 years to 4, and we get to decide whether they stay or they go.
Where in particular could you go online to find
out? You can go to League of Women Voters. You can also go to the Travis County Clerk's website. They always have all the election information because they actually run the tax assessors. They run the elections and stuff like that here in Austin. And another good resource is Texas Tribune. If you just go to their website, they have other resources on there, and the Chronicle sometimes too.
Could you speak a little bit about how the council works?
Yeah, so the way it works is us voters, us citizens, we get to vote for a mayor who is also a city council member, and he presides over the other city council members.
Okay.
Right? So we vote for a mayor, and then we also vote for city council members, and there's 10 districts. So I'm in District 2, and my city council member is Mayor Pro Temp Garza, Delio Garza. And then what happens is they get to appoint, the city council members appoint a city manager, and so city council members, whenever they're in meetings and in sessions, they're going through things and saying, okay, what resolutions can we propose, or what ordinances can we put into place? Because those are two different things. And so once they decide on that, then they give it to the city manager, and then he gives it to his people. Yeah, so it's a process. It's a bureaucracy. There's a lot of, you got to go to this person, this person, this person. Yeah. So it's a lot of layers to keep track of. And
I'm already super confused.
Yeah, I'm already blown away for the second time.
Oh my gosh. So so I guess let's start small. So what are districts, right? You said are 10 districts. Mm-hmm. So what are those, and why does it matter for you to be very informed and familiar with your district?
Mm-hmm. So the districts are really, really important because, for example, I'm in District 2. I live in Southeast Austin, Dove Springs. So Delia Garza, she's in charge of 78744. She's in charge of stuff that's happening in Del Valley because that's also part of that district. They're basically your direct, they're your voice. They're your district's voice, specifically for that area when it comes to property taxes, when it comes to defunding APD, zoning, all of that stuff. That's all through your city council member. So it's so important to know who your city council member is, and the things that they're voting for. And the statesmen, they actually have a vote tracker, and they keep track of what the city council members are voting on, whether they're saying yes or no to certain propositions.
Do you know how often that's updated?
I just went today, and it said the last day was like a year ago. So I was doing a lot of digging, and that's the other problem is there's stuff that's not updated enough, and then there's stuff where there's links that don't work, or the language on those websites, they just don't make sense. Like I have to reread it 3 times to be like, okay, now I finally know what they're saying.
I one time, a quick story, went to vote on a proposition. It was my first time getting involved in the local elections. And it was this very important prop where everyone was like, you need to vote. And so I went and I did it. And I went in there confident that I knew what I was voting for. And then once I was in there, the language was so crazy that it almost like I ended up voting wrong.
It really makes me upset because when I see the ballots or when I just see the voter guides, I'm just like, how is anybody who didn't graduate high school or didn't finish middle school or like I'm in college, I'm trying to take steps to get my undergrad, and it's still hard for me to understand the language. And I feel like government officials, whether their heart is in the right place or not for their community, they take advantage of the fact that we don't know what we're reading, we don't know what's happening, and they want that. They want us to not know what's going on. So it's so important for us to go through as many resources as we can, even though it can feel overwhelming. It's so important to do your research.
So yeah, thanks for that information. I'm definitely gonna look into looking at what the council members are voting on and just different layers of that council group, because I think it's really important. So voting is one thing, but really, why is it important to maybe show up on Second Street at City Hall? We talked a bit in the last episode with Bree about the last, I guess, session they had. It was like over 300 people standing in line to talk, and they had 1 minute each, which blew my mind. But it's like, okay, so if I have something to say, do I just go up there, or do I post it on Instagram, or do I call Kris and talk to her about it?
Kris don't know much.
But is it important enough? Do I have to have something in writing, and do I read it off, or do I just go up? I'm not going to curse at them or anything if I'm angry. Why is it important, or should we just really focus on just the voting aspect of it?
It's so important for city council members to hear from us, even if sometimes we don't have a full understanding of what's happening. At least they know we're paying attention. We're watching you, and we're seeing what you're approving and what you're not approving, and what you're letting just fly by like nothing matters. So it's important for us to show up, and that's part of voting. That is your voice, because like for young people, we don't vote enough, and that's why they think we don't care, and that's why they think they can get away with whatever they want. And so it's time for people to start waking up and going to vote.
I definitely think that's a highlight right there.
Yeah, for sure. So you said that you focus on 18 to 25-year-olds. That's kind of the age range. Why do you think they come off as don't care? Like, what do you think is the biggest reason why they're not more involved in the political system?
I honestly think it's just because it's so complicated, and to them it's just not worth investing in. They, like I said, people felt discouraged from the political system and how it works, so they feel like their vote doesn't matter. A lot of people, they don't really they don't really understand the whole process either. And so it's like, okay, I don't want to go look any of these people up. Like, that's a lot of work to do. And I rather go drink or go downtown. And there's other stuff that they rather be doing than sitting at home doing research that they don't get paid to do.
I think that maybe a little bit about that is too, like, because this is a very big this is a very big puzzle. And so each person or each group or each community is contributing one piece. And so one piece doesn't always see the other, and that impact that it all kind of collects together. So I think that part of us doing things like this and breaking things down allows for people to be like, yeah, no, your protest matters. What you're doing matters. And this is how it's trickling down to other places. So I think that more of this and identifying the other groups that are doing things like this is also a really cool way to start for people to see that.
Yeah. And which you can go to vote 411 and you type in your address, and they'll be like, okay, let me see what's on my ballot. And you can click through, and it has all the information for those people. And you can click through like if you were practicing.
So this is something we can do before we actually go vote.
Yeah.
And each ballot is different per
Yes.
district?
Yes. That's why your district matters. Because you have judges in your district, you have county commissioners in your district, you have constables, sheriffs, district attorneys. So depending on what district you're in, then you might have certain people on your ballot. Like you're in District 1. Yeah.
It might be different from District 2.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So that's why your district matters. And then for mine, I also have like I said, so the district attorney is Jose Garza or Margaret Moore. So the difference between them and the county attorney is that they prosecute felony cases. So there's misdemeanor and then there's felony. Those two different people who do those. I've been watching How to Get Away with Murder, and I'm watching and I'm like, wow, these people have so much power. The judges, the attorneys, the DAs, the ADAs, they have so much power over who gets prosecuted and for what. And it's insane. And so we don't pay attention enough to those people either. We kind of write off judges, like whatever. So they're also up for re-election. And then we have the county judge court law number 4 for me, and that's Margaret Kircher or Dimple Malhotra, and they preside over Class A and B misdemeanors and like family court and stuff.
I now know why on the corners there's 100 voter, like those little stands, that little bands, or what do you call those ones?
The pickets.
The pickets. That's it. And they're like, oh my God, who do I vote for? So now I get it. For every district, it's different for every, so thank you for that.
And the other thing people don't know is you don't have to vote for everything on the ballot. You can leave some blank. It's not a test. You can leave some blank. You don't have to vote for everybody. But just know, whatever you don't vote for,
somebody will vote for it.
Yeah, like that's, okay, you forfeited your voice on that one. Kind of thing.
And I have to admit that when the last time I voted, there was a lot of things I had no clue, and I was clicking and voting.
Yeah, so. No, I registered somebody the other day. I'm not going to name him because I don't want to embarrass him. But he was like, yeah, the last time I went in, I just kind of picked off all the Latino sounding names. And I was like, you know what? It's okay because I've done it before. I know a lot of people do it and I don't blame them. And it's just know there are people out there, there are city council members out there that they like to get their votes based off of the fact that they're Latino or that they're Black, and they'll say like that as part of their campaign. I'm a person of color, I'm a Black person, but then you look at their track records and they're not voting for things that is benefiting their community, that is benefiting their people they're supposed to be representing.
With that being said, I think it was some powerful things that you shared with us today. Thank you so much, Idalis. This was amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Kris
y'all.
and I love you so much, and so just keep us posted. I know for voting is around the corner. I now know a lot more than I did before you came. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank y'all for having me. I really appreciate it.